I guess Leslie's not coming, I guess.
She said she might be dipping in and out.
Okay. So I'm calling the meeting to order, and are there corrections to or approve up to the past minutes of August 3rd? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Charlie, you're opposed?
No, I said aye, but
Okay.
I thought I got him in
There's a
before
little-
you said that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there's a little pause there. Okay. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Okay, correspondence. I just have recently got a request for meeting dates for 2021. Does anybody have any reason we should change it from the every other month Monday that we have now?
Nope.
Okay, so that's what we have, and I'll send those out, the meeting dates. We have one more meeting this year, though, in December. All right, I have put volunteer hours on here, hoping I could give you a report, but some people haven't given me their hours. So I made them up.
Yeah.
Based on previous years, and what I came up with is 513 hours, which is about 50 hours less than the previous year. And I tried to allot it to events, projects, and meeting time, but I cannot guess for you guys where you're putting your time in and how much trail work you're putting in. So we may have a lot more hours than I have allotted. John, if you're spending way much more time on Facebook, I can't guess. So,
I wouldn't say more time.
well, you had vast differences in the last 2 years, so I don't really know. I gave you an hour a week. Sound right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too far off.
All right, so I basically guessed, and what I would say is that where I'm seeing the big difference between this year and last year is that we have more community outreach time, about the same amount of meeting time and project time, but of course we don't have the events and we don't have as much trail work time unless I don't know what you're out there doing. And we have way more community outreach and social media time than we have had in the past. And unless somebody sends me more specific information, that's what I'm going to just submit.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
did you include the hours I did trail work, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
I didn't get anything from you, John.
I know I've been on the road. I was trying to do that this week, but I
Okay,
didn't.
well, I will amend this if you want to send me what your estimates are for this year.
Okay, I'll just include trail work. I'm not going to mess with the Facebook time then, and
Okay.
I'll look
All
back.
right, and then I want to thank Paul because he's trying to get this into Excel for us. And if any of you, I've given you all paper to keep track of your time. If that doesn't work for you and you're really going to sit down and enter it into an Excel page, then we'll give you an Excel page to work with. So let us know. But I still have to compile everybody's different way of keeping track. And whether you classify something as administrative or project work, I can't really tell. You can just do a best guess. Maybe we want to sit down and talk about how we're all recording this, but I can't. Somebody's got their TV on or something. All right. So the next thing on the agenda is finances. I don't know, Charlie, did you hear anything back from Charlie?
Yes, I did, and I thought I sent it off to everybody. Hold on a second.
I got it, Charlie.
Good. I did not crunch the numbers. When I sent out, forwarded a copy of the email that Orla sent me today, I did make one note separate from that report, which is a week or two ago, I was down at the town hall and had a brief conversation with Leslie. And we agreed that it would be very smart for any turkey trot contributions to be handled by Recreation Department, since she's there every day and they have an account and they can process this stuff through and give a report back. So having said that, on the report, it says that balance as of, says balance through today is $17,559.35. And there's page 2, it's a breakdown of everything that we purchased, equaling $1,920. And t-shirt sales brought in $50. So it looks okay to me, but again, you've all heard me say, when it comes to arithmetic, every time I put 2 and 2 together, I come up with 22.
Charlie, does your balance sheet from Orla show the TLGV reimbursement from last year's grant having come in? Because it did, and I put it into Trails income account.
On the first page there's numbers for
Should be
turkey
there.
trot.
It should be
There's
there if
numbers-
you corrected the mistake last time, because that's an awfully high balance.
Yeah, well, the numbers that I see, as I understand it, as income are from Turkey Trot, donation from Walmart, and other income. I'm sorry, I can't share this page. That's why I send it out. Other income, donation from Walmart. Yeah, I said that. I don't see the last Green Valley
I
on
didn't,
here.
All right,
I didn't see it either, but again, I remember that last budget report where she had counted something twice, and it was like, it was much higher than it should have been. This number sounds.
I do see it. I do see it. I see it. I see it. Halfway down the first page, it says donation from Walmart. Underneath it, it says wayfinding donation from the last Green Valley, $3,000.
Okay.
okay, all right, so it's accounted for. Very good.
Okay.
So does that number include some sponsorships for this turkey trot coming up?
No, it does not.
No. Okay.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi. I should mention though, Charlie, what's not reflected on yours, because it went in today, is I did bring Trails shirts to the Maker Faire, and 109 shirts were sold, $180. So that's not,
Wow.
yeah, I know. That's not reflected on your report, because that went in this afternoon. And so I know that I touched base with Orla and she said it wouldn't be on there, but
Okay, great.
Excuse me, it's Paul. So Leslie, you said you sold 109 shirts for $180.
no, I sold 9 shirts for $180.
All right. I
I
was gonna
started to
say,
say the amount that I sold, and then I was like, you probably want to know how many. Yeah, so
okay.
$180 worth of shirts, which is nine shirts.
okay.
So they were very popular at the Maker Faire, and people had cash and kind of grabbed them last minute and hung them at our booth, and so
Just curious, both orange and green?
both orange and green, I believe so. Yes, someone kept a tally. I have it in my office.
Okay, any citizens' comments?
Can I just ask one question
John?
before we move on? I missed it when you were talking about our hours. What do you do for other people's hours? And what I mean by others people is my wife and my daughter helped me on some trail work. So like, do they do separate sheets? Or how do you?
if you just report it to me in the Excel document, I have a sheet for other,
Okay,
and I'll add it in.
okay. I just missed it before, so I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Leanne, do you have citizens' comments you want to share at all?
I have the Thompson section of the Airline State Park Trail has been assessed for with our heat tap equipment, except for Sand Dam to Lowell Davis, because it had never gotten cut and it was too narrow to do. So that will be whenever we can do it in the spring. I don't assume that you're going to get it cut now.
That wasn't a section that was cut? No, okay.
No, that's a
He cut
section.
that late last year, I think.
That's a section that we were promised was going to be getting extensive work as soon as the asphalt plant shut down for the year. I understand, it makes perfect sense. They have to work on the roads and repaving while they can do that. Yeah, the mowing of it and the regrading underneath 395 and where the trap stones are. And I haven't been able to get any response back about availability of stone dust. Those are issues that we're going to have to be looking at. I can't get a response back from the 12 Town Task Force or from DEEP in general.
Okay.
So I have something about the mowing if this is the place for it.
Sure, why not?
So I have somebody who has a mower and a tractor and is willing to let me mow and do the trail, but I don't know if that's something that is okay to do. It's a brush cutting mower. He's got a trailer. It's a big Kubota tractor. It's not like a whatever, but I just wanted to check before I went and did something and just to make sure that it's okay.
I would assume if our highway department was going to do it, that we wouldn't have to check with DEEP, TEEP, for you to do it. I don't know if we don't have any other issues. I mean, nobody told us we can't do that. So
Yeah.
I like that.
So what I would say, John, is go ahead and do it. And if there's an issue, they'll let us know. Then we won't do it next time. If you,
I like
yeah. Otherwise,
I like that.
We're gonna get done.
Yeah, just try not to break down on the trail and require towing out. I think that's it.
Better to
I
ask
would like-
forgiveness than permission.
Yes.
I would like to point out something that Brian LaFrido said when we talked about this before, and that is that once we do it, we're committed to it. And I don't mind. I do think that if we're borrowing or using somebody else's equipment, we should at least fill the guy's gas tank and
give them a t-shirt.
Give him a t-shirt, give him a bottle of reasonable booze next year at the beginning of the season, something. But, something to say thank you, because it does make a big difference. I have been seeing comments about the conditions with the weeds on social media throughout the season. And without borrowing equipment or without getting equipment from DEEP, we don't have it. And the town has it, but we're not authorized. So if John's friend would allow this to be done, it's a benefit to the trail, it's a benefit to the town. And we should thank the guy.
Yeah, I agree. My statement was with paying the town to do it. I didn't want to go down that road. And I don't think I don't know if you heard something else, Charlie, but I don't think they promised to do anything this year. They just kicked it down the road if they had time.
Right.
So if we have the ability to do it, that's great. The only thing I would fear is from the negative side is that the town or Rich or somebody might complain that it's not safe because we're doing it if people are using it and we haven't shut the trail or something. I'm just trying to think of any political issues that could rise out of this.
Well, that's what I was wondering, liability, but nobody's told us we can't do work on the trail. You know,
Right.
they said, all they've
They
said
don't-
is there's big trees that they would take them down at deep. So,
And again, this is mowing. It just happens to be with a tractor. Like,
so would you be out there on your own or with somebody?
oh, I'd be with somebody.
Okay.
And John, I would think you're not going to go on like, a beautiful Saturday or Sunday when the trail's going to be heavily trafficked, or what are your thoughts? Or
So him and I wanted to bring it up to the trails meeting before I did anything, but no, I'm not going to do something like that. I mean,
yeah.
again,
Like you were talking about, Brian, with just if folks are out hiking and whatnot. And I'm
Yep.
sure you could also talk to DPW probably would let you borrow like some cones to, just put some out at the front of the trail, or, notify folks that way.
yeah. Again, if I see folks, then I can pull over and stop. It's not going to be a big thing. And the part of the trail that needs the mowing the most doesn't get used as much because it needs mowing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the part up by the tri-state marker, that part of the trail does need it too, because there's so many, like maybe 2-inch saplings that are growing on the side right before the cattle bridge. But again, I'll try and do that maybe off hours or something, early in the morning or something, or maybe during the week.
Well, we would really appreciate that.
I think it's going to be like a one-shot deal. Like he's going to probably bring me down the tractor and leave it for me to take over there and use, you know what I mean? It's not going to sit there forever. It'll probably be there for a couple of days and I'll work it out with him.
Good.
Get that.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Record those hours.
Yeah,
Please.
record the hours, but keeping in mind, and you documented it, John, that by mid-August is the time that we want to get it done next year. And that would probably once sometime late July into mid-August would be enough. So let's see how it unfolds.
Okay. All right, this is the big issue tonight, really, the turkey trot. Is it happening? What's going to happen if it does?
Leslie, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So do you want to?
So, I mean, we received guidance. We received guidance from the state of Connecticut maybe a little over a month and a half ago. In my personal opinion is that it's very challenging to meet some of those guidelines, and having put on events, it's a lot more thought process and energy and details that go into, all the COVID guidelines. We did send out the letters to the 3 major sponsors, and we had a response from Putnam Bank as the lead title sponsor. So they did confirm and agree to be a lead title sponsor. I had not deposited that check until we decide what's going on. We do not have a host. We do not have a site. So the Thompson Dam is not available. I did not hear back from the Speedway. And so we have potential with the school being a site, but there was reservations because part of the school property is private property. So having to get permission from them. I think the cross country team does run on there, but we'd have to reach out to the landowners to get that. I just personally think that it's definitely really challenging. And now we're 5-6 weeks out from the event. I have not had the time to dedicate to this event that I've had in the past due to trying to prepare for the start of school, running a distance learning program, and before and after school, and all the extra things that go into that with COVID. So I do apologize personally for not having the time to devote to this event, but where we are is that I also presented to the Rec Commission asking for their advice sort of on what they thought how we should move forward. And they pretty much said, it's up to you. Like if you feel confident and comfortable doing it, then go forward. So I think it's really kind of then to and Brian and I talked and said, is it really the turkey trot committee that gets to decide, or is it the rec commission and, the trails committee that are just making this decision? So that's where we are at this point.
And I totally agree with the sentiments Leslie had. I have the same situation. As you know, I was thinking of retiring this year. Because of COVID, I put that off to next year. On top of that, I have my home projects. We've just had a major restructuring at work, which is changing my job responsibilities tremendously. And I simply do not have the time this year. I haven't had the time, especially when it comes to trying to recreate an event. If we could hold it at the same site, I think we could have still pulled it off. But to try to do it at a new site and reestablish everything, it just became less likely as we entered into September. And now that we're in October, I just don't see any way this can happen. Leslie had at one point suggested going a couple of weeks later at Thanksgiving weekend. That was even more problematic for me because of work. So unless we had a way to do some kind of virtual event, and I have no idea how to run a virtual event, I don't see any sense in going forward this year. And of course, we would want to announce that as soon as we can on Facebook, because I see every day that there's a few new likes that the page is getting. So people are looking at it. Leslie had an idea to have it run maybe Trails Day, is it, next year?
Yeah, I think if we do decide to not, well, obviously, with the timing and stuff, if we don't do it at a traditional time, I had a thought about I'm kind of been double booked in the last year on the first weekend in June with Thompson Together also does a townwide tag sale the first weekend in June, which is Trails Day. And I've always sort of wanted to spend more time in helping to promote trails on Trails Day in Thompson, but I've been committed to that event. They are planning on moving that event to August. So I thought, what an opportunity, if we can get our old site back and we can be on a trail, to be doing a trail run on Trails Day or Trails Weekend, that first weekend in June. And for me, time-wise, as far as events go, it would be a lot easier for me leading into that time. Planning and doing a lot of recruitment in March is a good time for me to be doing that stuff. It's a slower time. It's like basketball has ended, camp hasn't quite started yet. I would have a lot more time to devote to sponsor recruitment and promotion of events in that March, April time, April, May, than when August into September is a really challenging time when I go from camp straight into the school year. So that's where it gets a little tricky with the November event. So I wanted to throw that out there as a possibility. Brian did say, well, how do we even know if the dam's going to be available then in June? That's something I could reach out to them. But I think too, seeing the guidelines now, we have a lot more time to sort of mentally prepare. How would we do an event like that? What would it look like? And how would we structure it around the restrictions? And we know the restrictions are only going to get, hopefully, lighter. So if we plan for what they are now, then in June, we don't have many restrictions.
Leslie, are we thinking, or what was your thought process to do 2 dates next year? Keep the traditional turkey trot, but have this kind of a makeup thing, or just maybe switch the date?
I don't know. My first thought was just to try to maybe, if we feel like we can get the volunteers and we can get our location, to try to say we're doing it in June and see how that goes and see what it's like. And then, we obviously couldn't call it the turkey trot. It would have to be.
Well, we can play with the name.
Yeah.
Turkeys are still alive in June.
But I just think that, I see such momentum from this committee on promoting our trails and Trails Day, and it's just an opportunity. And as Tira talks a lot about it being an economic driver and an asset of our town, I just think that that's a great opportunity on that day to highlight and to have a major event highlighting that. I don't know if folks think that maybe if the trails will be too busy to do a trail run, so maybe we're doing it the following day and still celebrating the weekend. But yeah.
One personal note on that is that I'm usually away on the first weekend of June. I usually have an annual event. So while I could certainly do more with fundraising once I retire in April and help get ready for it, if it is that weekend, I won't be able to actually be there for the event.
Good to know.
Does anybody have the dates of that in front of them?
The first Saturday in June is June 5th. So I don't know. I mean, we've always done it on a Sunday, so I don't know if we would, continue with the Sunday and do it on the 6th, or try to do it on the 5th if the dam would let us.
Well, one traditional thing is we usually have another, like a hike to the Tri-State Marker or something for Trails Day. So what we wouldn't want to do is pull out of our volunteer pool to do one thing and not have them for the other. That's one consideration.
Yeah.
Leslie, can I make a suggestion that we run this by Peter he's on the committee and he's at the Woodstock School and he knows the schedule for events like this.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not opposed to the idea of moving it to June, and I'm really not opposed to the idea of trying to get it up behind the school where there's more town land and it's closer to Teague.
Mhm.
I know that there is that consideration of getting an easement from the people. I think there's only one person that owns property up there. And part of it would probably be on the Eversource right of way, but they're not opposed. They are perfectly willing to let passive recreation on the right of way. So
Yeah, that's what Deb Spinelli said, when they've been accommodating to the school and to, pedestrians, but, a larger event like this, they might, but just to have that conversation. So, yeah, I'll touch base with Peter and see, in the past, what else is done on that weekend. And like you said, Karen, maybe we then make it Trails Weekend, and we do it on the Sunday after. So it doesn't pull, that would commit a lot of volunteers on the whole weekend. But, I think, the only other thing too is that it is, I know for high schoolers, and John, you've pulled like a lot of high schoolers have usually is like a prom weekend or something for volunteers. Graduation is, I think going to probably follow the next weekend, but I think
June is awfully late for prom. I mean, proms are usually early to mid-May, I would think.
Yeah,
End of May anyway. Yeah.
if we tie in with Trails Day or Trails Week, that gives us two other outlets to advertise this: the statewide Connecticut Trails newsletter and the Last Green Valley Spring Outdoors newsletter. So it should be a plus in the long run.
Okay.
I think when we chose the date for the Turkey Trot originally, Mike had looked into when all the other races were around in the region. And so I think that's something we have to find out if we're not on the same weekend as some other big race that's going to pull the runners.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I think, and that we have a little bit of time. So I'll check I'll talk to Peter, and I'll also look at what other races have traditionally been on that weekend in the past. And then also start a conversation with the Thompson Dam and see, what their thoughts are on rental.
And Racewire.
Yeah, Racewire. Yeah.
We're not going to do it this year in November.
Well, does anybody have any argument to say that they think that we have time to do this and that we should do it in November? I'm feeling like
what I heard.
We're not going to have the volunteers they're not going to feel safe.
All right.
And we haven't booked a place or Racewire, right?
I think the other thing with the COVID precautions and guidelines is that it also was going to be pretty costly because like we'd have to mail out all of the race packets. We'd have to mail out all of the awards, you know? So I think when you're also doing it in that way, you know, as a fundraiser, it just would have really cut into some of those donations. And it would have been limiting to how many runners we could have, you know? So it's like double. You have less revenue and you have more expenses.
Yeah,
I
even,
think the only
Yeah,
other thing is maybe we want to see if we can find out about virtual races. If we put on a race earlier, like when you can't go outdoors, we might somehow have a lot of people. I don't know. I don't know how virtual races work.
Yeah, so the way, you know, I chatted with RaceWire about it and asked how their success had been. And they said, you know, in April and May, people were definitely, you know, doing a lot of virtual races, April, May, June. The way it works is basically just like that. You sign up for a race, you're running on your own at your house, you're setting your mile marker and you're taking a picture of your time and what you ran it in and then sending that in. So you're mailing all of those packets. So you're mailing a bib or you're having to pick it up. The same thing with shirts, you're mailing it or they're picking it up. So it's an added expense of that. And just, I don't know. I mean, I think that from my understanding of the event, you know, A, it's a community thing, you know, it's about bringing people together, and B, it's about being on a physical trail, you know, so somebody running it on their street in, you know.
yeah, I agree. It loses what it was meant to be. And yeah, I was going to say even Tackle the Trail has had to cut back greatly on their plans and how many people are going to participate in that in a couple of weeks. So, I mean, they were going to have less people than we had.
I'm surprised they're doing it. I haven't heard of anybody else doing a run. Like, I mean,
I think they just get so much sponsor money that they go ahead with it just because they have so much support and they need to raise that money because they raise about $50,000 with that.
Yeah.
So if we're all agreed, then I can put it on Facebook that it will be canceled.
Postponed.
Well, yeah, well.
I would say,
you know,
postpone. Sorry, that's my dog.
He's more beer.
It's not being held this year. Not
Brian, if you come on, dog.
It sounds like somebody wants to go for a run.
He's really excited. Yeah, a car just drove in. But Brian, if you could wait to post it, I definitely want to contact Putnam Bank first,
Okay.
just because we didn't send that check in. And so I'd like to tell them that, you know, we're looking into doing it potentially in June. And we'll, you know, if they're okay with it, we'll deposit their check and hold it for either the June event or 2021.
Some of these places need to do it within their fiscal year.
Right. So that's why I'm going to ask them what they want done with that. Because if it's not,
Just let me know as soon as you can, because basically we're already a month out from the original date we planned. People
I will contact them on Wednesday when I'm back in the office.
Any other comments on that? The next thing on the agenda is the Tackle the Trail, if anybody is planning to volunteer and if they want to say anything.
Well, I was on the volunteer call for that, but again, because of changes at work, I'm not going to take the day off for that. Colleen was going to run, but apparently didn't get her application in on time, or they didn't process it on time with the reduced number of people. So she is probably going to take my spot just so we honor the commitment for volunteering. They have a call coming up as to what the volunteers' jobs are going to be. They even have a meeting the day before for the volunteers so that everyone knows what's going on. And I already wasn't going to be able to make that meeting because of work. So that's where we stand with trying to help them out on that.
I'd like to go just to see how they're doing it, because, you know, even if we have restrictions in June, I'd like to see, you know, what people are doing now. So it gives us an idea of what we still even may need to do in June. So I'll reach out to Colleen, Brian.
They probably have most of the information out there, and it's tacklethetrail.org, I think.
Yeah. Okay, I'll look at it.
Any other events in the works? No. The next thing on the agenda is the Plan of Conservation and Development. Now, I'm drafting the trail section for that, and I sent it out to all of you, and some people wrote me back some constructive criticism, and I've added and made some changes and some spelling corrections, and you still have time. This is going to go to Tira soon this week, and then there is a meeting on the 14th, which I can't make, a Zoom meeting. So if somebody else would like to be at that to represent trails, but I think most of our input will already be done at that point. But this is not the last time. So if you see something else, you can still send me or Tira, any corrections that you see. I did just get a bunch of information from Andy Rezekevich at the last Green Valley, and so I have to amend what I wrote already. I'm sad to say that LeClaire Trail is closed. And I don't know if that's temporary or for the long term, but we have to take it off the website. And he did give me a list of other trails on Wyndham property that we don't have listed. So that's something we can add to our 2019 goals of somehow plotting those trails and getting them up on the trails website. But that's another issue for December. So I'm going to rework it. I'm going to submit it to Tira. Anybody putting up their hand for the 14th that they can be on that Zoom meeting.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Anyways.
Okay.
If nobody else can be there, I will be there.
And then if we want to make any other changes or Tira wants us to make any other changes, we'll do that before the December meeting and revisit it once more.
What date is your December meeting, Karen?
The first Monday in December.
Okay, so before P and Z has to meet and approve it. Okay, that's just what I wanted to check.
December 7th.
Okay.
I should be able to participate on the 14th as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I just checked my schedule. I'm scheduled 7 to 5 that day, so I might be able to be there.
Okay. Well, I'll be sending out a reminder. So the 14th is next Wednesday. So that means I'll be sending out a reminder about it this Friday and probably again a week from today. That's my pattern's been. I've been sending out the entire amended draft, including the section that was worked on during the given week, and then an excerpt of the section to be worked on just to confirm that everybody's still coming in.
Okay, so
it's been good.
What I've written, if you want to, I'm assuming you're going to format it into whatever fits the rest of the report. So don't feel like you're restricted in that in any way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, people have been giving me stuff in all kinds of formats, and I'm just feathering it in as makes the most sense. I mean, Lynn's stuff on the transfer station went in pretty much as is. Well, and then when you and the rest of the transfer station advisory committee reviewed it, you sent it back to me in a format that was almost exactly what we were doing anyway. So that was fine. That was perfect.
Well, I'm trying to do that, but just, if you're doing bullets versus numbers or whatever, you can fix it. All right, so we're up to trail updates.
Oh, before anyone gives a trail update, I wanted to let you all know that something that we have the marketing intern working on for the next 6 weeks. You may have seen on the town Facebook page that he posted about the tri-state marker, like, oh, get out and hike this weekend, which was perfect because the weather was great. And really this is something that Charlie's been talking about is just that, with COVID, that people are hitting the trails, more and more and more. So, and in line with Walktober, what we're doing for the next 6 weeks is every Thursday, the marketing intern will be posting like a Trails Thursday post. So he'll be highlighting a trail in Thompson every Thursday for the next 6 weeks. And the first one went up this past Thursday and it got shared like 45 times or something crazy. So we're just really seeing, and something that I'm not really great at is, on social media is really, I'm just always like pushing events, like, getting people to come things. And really, sometimes people just want information. They want to know like, what's something cool to do and like what's great in my town. And so this will be great. It'll happen for the next 6 Thursdays. And what's great about it is it's linking to the trails page on the website so people can check out other trails. And he's going to link to some other websites where, and maybe to Historical Society and to the Great Train Wreck and stuff. So really trying to just, and he, reached out to Karen, I think, to kind of know, well, what are some ones that we want to make sure we highlight? And then he's looking at the page. I mean, it's kind of obvious which ones are the most popular, and those will be what he highlights. But it's a series that I think could continue, and pick up again in the spring, and we could maybe do 6 more, come springtime and highlight, some
We
ones.
don't have that many trails.
Well, we'll highlight the same ones.
Okay, no, but I want to say, he wrote to me and he asked me for my top 8, but we really only, without Leclerc, we've got 8. So I sent him the top 3.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, he's gonna highlight 6.
okay.
3 is a magic number anyway. Just in terms of social media, and because I don't have the agenda in front of me, so I don't know if it's later on. I sent out this morning to the intern, John Kaczynskis, I think I copied you, and Karen and Leslie, I probably copied you as well. We were a part of an article in the Hampton Gazette because they did a piece on local trails, and the airline trail runs through Hampton. So they did a little write-up that included where it starts up here in Thompson, and I think something about the train wreck. I was actually trying to pull it up to send everybody in the chat window, but it froze my system because it's such a big data file, which is why my screen dropped off. But anyway, so and the reason that connection was made was over the Z-Card brochures. That project is officially moving. Well, I shouldn't say officially. Very nearly officially approved and moving forward from the Eastern Region Tourism District. So I had connected with somebody from Hampton from the ERTD, who may also be on the 12-town task force. So there's cross-promotion happening sort of throughout the corner. So share that too.
Okay,
Chance to share that, but I will share it. I saw the email.
yeah,
Okay.
I saw it. I didn't get a chance to read it. If anybody wants it forwarded to them, that they're gonna, or just wait for the Facebook. Trail updates. Anybody been out there recently?
John, you were out with that group I saw.
I did a walk to the Tri-State Marker with, I don't even remember the name. It was with Marcy from the Rotary Club Leaders Group or something. So Marcy was leading that hike, so she asked me to go out on that hike with her because the Tri-State Marker is I'm a trail steward for that trail. So we had a group of like 9 of us. It was a nice hike. I have been out on the trails doing a little bit of work. I did a little bit of maintenance on the airline trail. After one of the storms, I got like 5 or 6 messages on Facebook about trees down on the airline trail. As you guys know, I took the Kubota out there with my family to cut them down, and they were actually already cut, really, for the most part. Somebody had already cut them up and moved it off the side of the trail. There are a couple of them that are kind of hangers, widow makers, whatever you want to say. I did not touch those. You need something to get up higher to touch those, like I don't know, DEEP might have a piece of equipment. We have nothing that would do that.
Can we get a picture of those spots and send them to Matt Quinn?
I'm sure I can. I posted one on Facebook with the tree up in the air, and you can see the Kubota, and it's just kind of hanging there. So I already have some, so I could send it to you.
Okay, and I'll forward it to Matt.
Okay.
With a
Location.
with the best location you can give it. Okay.
Okay.
Kira and I just hiked Riverside Park over and over again on Saturday.
Yes, we know the 300 feet from the end of the driveway to the softball field very, very well.
Or
Yep. I put in 6 miles on that trail.
I was gonna say Brian too, yeah.
So did anybody go to the end of it or no?
No.
All right. So at the other end, there are some trees that are still down. I haven't been up there in a while. That's where we had the forest fire for the past few months.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't get to the trail, but they actually, DEP cut a trail down. I don't even know if I'd call it a trail, but a way for us to get our hoses down to the pond and so we could pump water back up. But there still needs to be some work back there done. It's so far back and there's no easy way to get there. So that's definitely going to take a little bit of planning. And it's not like, I don't think it's more than a half day's work. It's just a matter of getting out there.
With a chainsaw.
With a chainsaw, yeah. Nothing's too big. I want to say maybe 6-8 inches at the biggest, and they're already down. They're not like they're laying across. It's almost at the end of the trail where we did work last time, Charlie, and I forgot who else came out with us to that.
Yeah, I don't remember everybody. Mike Large was with us and one of your friends, but
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. So that was,
Keith.
I think David was with us. I think there was about 6 of us.
Yeah.
That was a while ago. My gosh, time is just gone.
Yes.
So that wasn't this past year's hours.
No, that was like 5 years,
2
4
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the question came up, do we want to keep the Porta-John for October? Did he already take it away? Because it is October.
No, I seen it there yesterday I went by, it was there.
Do we want to leave it up another month?
Yep,
I say yes.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a motion. Charlie,
Make a
can you
motion.
call the guy?
Yeah, I can get in touch with them. Tell them we'll tell them we wanted to pull it up the beginning of November.
Okay.
I was gonna say, it's Walktober. You gotta leave it up.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention also, we got a couple train wreck things going in that area within the next week or so. So it'd be nice to have it there.
Yeah, there's.
Next
Yeah.
weekend, right?
Yeah, well, this Saturday and next Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's 2 or 3 hikes in October that I saw that were at the airline trail. Yeah, I listed them on the rec site. Do you know if anybody know if a Facebook event has been created for those, or is it Historical Society? Paul?
No, that's being driven by the people down in the
Eastern Connecticut Railroad.
Romantic or whatever in the
Connecticut
museum.
Railroad, yeah. Okay. I'll check to
So-
see if they've created something so that we can share it.
Well, there is there was a thing online and you had to sign up
Yeah.
to register to go.
Yep.
Yeah, so there is
don't
something
think-
online for that.
Plan.
I don't think there'd be too much because they're not very tech savvy. I have a
Okay.
hard time with them getting emails returned.
Well, then I'll create it, and you know, if they do have a Facebook, of course I'll link them to it. But yeah, I listed all of the Walktober events that were happening in Thompson on the rec page, and then also linked them to the rest. But I just highlighted all of our town Walktober events.
All right, so
I
the
didn't
historical
see an event for it. I was looking at the events this weekend because I wanted to do the Bull Hill Walk and the Thompson Hill Walk, and because I'm off for the weekend, I didn't see anything about the train wreck.
All right, well, maybe because the Historical Society is helping sponsor that, so I had information up front, but I didn't know if it was public.
Yeah,
or
I'll
whatever.
get.
And with regard to the porta potty, I just want to congratulate the guy. He did a real good job. The thing's been clean, neat, no vandalism. Every time I go down there, it's still got toilet paper and hand sanitizer in it, and it's nice and clean.
Good.
Yeah.
So
In
I made a motion. I need a second and all in favor.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.
Oh,
Aye.
well,
Aye.
discussion. When I call them up and tell them to pick it up in November, should I suggest that we might want it from April till November of next year?
Yes,
That would give us a little bit longer time out there, but it seems to have been well appreciated and well cared for by people who went out on the, and there's been a lot of people out there. I'll tell you the counter numbers next, but. So that's what I'll tell them, and I am in favor of notifying them to take it out in November.
Okay,
Right after Veterans Day, I think, just because that makes sense to me. Right, the 11th?
He usually charges you from the first of the month, so he'll probably take it the last. I don't know. You can
Okay.
try.
I'll bounce the idea by him, tell him that we want it for the rest of this month, and whenever he picks it up, let us know.
okay. No opposed, nobody's opposed. Can somebody clarify for me, the Department of Public Works painted road crossing signs at East Thompson Road, New Road, and where else? Wasn't it one of the other crossings?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, not at Sandam.
Yeah, you know what they did is the river trail. There's signs up there, and I think there was always a crosswalk, but they repainted it. Over behind the mill.
You mean on Route 12?
It's not Route 12, where Route 12 turns sharp and you go Buckley Hill.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that?
Oh, yeah.
There was always been one there, but they put signs up there now, and I think they repainted it.
But we don't have, are there signs at New Road and
Yeah.
East Thompson, or just
Yeah.
the cross, in both directions?
New
Yes.
Road and Sandam Road, yes.
And Sandam?
Yeah,
Yes.
those
Okay.
are the two places they did. East Thompson Road and Sandam Road, not New
But
Road.
a painted crossing and,
When? I was up on Sandam Road last month late last month when I checked the counter and put in brochures and maps, and I don't remember seeing any crosswalks at Sandam Road.
It's there. It's been there for months.
I think you drive
Wow.
too fast, Charlie.
That's possible because that's Sandam Road, and anything up there that Okay.
So are we still on trail updates?
sure.
So again, Sandam Road, they got that so wide open that over there to get on the trail, they can drive one of those motorized big golf carts right through it, like a UTV. Somebody moved the rocks, or I have no idea, but it's like a free-for-all through there. Again, I don't expect DPW is going to do anything for us. I mean, we asked to move those rocks so we could park there, but that's been a busy site too, because I think people are avoiding the one up the street because it's so busy.
Yeah, when people
That's-
park there, they have a hard time figuring out how to park. Some people park horizontal, vertical, they're up in the
Yeah.
road. It's
Because if you pull in, nose in, it's hard to get your bike and stuff off the back without being in the road.
Yeah, or you hit the stones behind it because there's not a lot of room.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe some guy in the area with a tractor might try and push a couple of those rocks.
Along with mowing.
So there's that, and then I talked to somebody else about the somebody brought up something about the airline trail over between Sandam Road and East Thompson Road. There's actually logging signs that are up over there where that access point is for the rod and gun shooting range.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually had an email from Julie Butler about that today.
Okay.
There is a landlocked parcel behind the Butlers and the Rod and Gun Club that apparently has been an issue with the property owner for a while, because the Butlers and the club have not given permission to access their property. And I guess the property owner who wants to log has gone now with a different outfit, and apparently they've just decided to do what they want. So Julie had contacted me just today about that, in fact, to see if if there's anything the town can do. And the answer is, unless it's a wetlands issue, actually there really isn't, that it's a civil matter. but that doesn't mean that Connecticut Deep can't do anything if they are, you know, trying to access the airline trail. I mean, that's
So-
state property. It's not.
Right. So in order for them to come off there, they actually have to go across the airline trail in the area where that's part of the state park that we've been talking about, where the train station was and the turntable was. It's kind of in that area where they would cross the airline trail. I have no idea if the person who told me had no idea if the state had any notification, but just what Tara said is all the information that he actually gave me, that the Butlers and the Rod and Gun didn't give permission for them to do it, but there are signs up on the road. Watch for logging trucks.
Yeah, I forwarded that email thread to Matt Quinn and also to our Wetlands Conservation and ZEO. Unfortunately, I believe the answer from the town side is that there isn't much that can be done, that the rights are with the property owners themselves. If they've denied access and the guy is crossing it, then that, as far as I'm concerned, is straight up trespassing, and he can be sued. But we can't really sue for them because we're not the owners of any of the individual parcels. It's
But I
possible that
believe-
some kind of cease and desist could be issued, but I think that's only if they're violating some wetlands area.
So I believe there is a right of way through that whole road that comes up all the way through. If you look in the land records, I believe they, you know, there's a right of way so that they can get to the back of the thing. So
But isn't the right of way for the Rod and Gun Club? Like, I don't think it's a right of way for anybody to drive on. Like, how do they have access to the gate? Because it's locked.
yeah, I don't know, John.
Question. Yeah. And again, stuff that I had heard is they wanted to widen that road so they could get the logging trucks up in there, which again is, you know, altering somebody's property that they don't even have permission to cross, never mind to alter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but unless they can demonstrate that that right of way belongs to them or that they have an easement existing with some previous owners or iteration of the Rod and Gun Club, I don't see how that flies. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like they're just sort of acting with impunity. But again, this is just what I've gleaned from a single email and a very brief conversation with Marla about whether, you know, she was aware of any wetlands issues up there. There are wetlands involved, but they're on the other side, so I'm sure that's why they're trying to come down this way.
From that landlocked
But obviously that's
property,
problematic for, yeah.
there's no
Yeah,
other way to come out because they would have to cross Cherry Swamp and Long Pond in order to get out over there, which they're not going to be able to do.
Which they can't do, right.
Yeah, I'm looking at the plot maps now. There's somebody named John Thruell and Carver E. I guess Carver E. Thruell. They own a pretty good sized chunk up there above Long Pond. And then somebody else named Edward F. Masterson Jr. owns a smaller piece. This is between the Butlers and the Rod and Gun Club property. There's two landowners up there, and they don't have a road. They do have, they are in adjacent to the wetlands. I don't have the full details in front of me, but they did not come into wetlands for a permit. I know that much.
I can pull the parcel up in just a second to screen share it. Give me a second. Hopefully it doesn't freeze my... It's the stupidest piece of property ever. I mean, it is completely landlocked. I can't even imagine how this thing... I mean, it just has to have been carved up in weird ways over the years.
Yeah. Well, I remember
Hang
there was
on, and I'll-
discussion when Wyndham Land Trust was buying property up there. There was one party that did not want to sell, wanted to find some way to develop it, and then wound up not being able to do it.
Yeah, and I believe the Butlers were trying to purchase that property, but they were having issues with the owner.
Well,
the Butler
this
owns
is
Sorrel.
apparently the issue. So it's one of these two. I think it's this one.
I believe so.
Um,
So the ones all
Yeah.
Julie
around
Butler
that
owns
belong to
the
the
one on the
Butlers.
left.
Correct. This is Butler's.
That's
This
Butler's.
is
That's
Sorrel's.
Sorrel
And then this is the
Enterprises.
combination of Rod and Gun Club and the Butlers
Julie,
that
yeah.
sort of all irregular. Yeah, so this is the property. Hey, it's a problem property. They'd probably be way better off selling to the Butlers, honestly. You know, they want their timber value out of it, but if they don't have permission to go, they can't go. I mean, that's how it works.
Well, we've already agreed it's easier to get permission than to get, or to ask forgiveness than to get permission, so I don't know.
That's a big push though on that one.
That is,
Well, and in fact, never mind
34
easier to ask
acres.
forgiveness than, yeah, never mind ask forgiveness rather than permission. They've already been denied permission.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of, let's see what happens when we start this. It's, no, you cannot cross my land, and they're apparently doing it anyway.
Well, that's 44 acres according to what I'm seeing here, so it's a big parcel, but,
I looked at, it's 49.69 acres on my app that I'm looking at.
well, I'm looking at the town's plot map.
Well, regardless, it's not a problem we're going to solve here.
No.
Correct.
You're on mute, Karen.
Sorry, David was chewing too loud. So Tira, you're contacting Matt Quinn, and then if there's some other action that we need to be involved with, you'll let us know.
Yeah, Marla said she could probably take a look at to see if there was any history that would be helpful when she's back in the office on Wednesday. You know, I mean, I suspect the answer is there really is nothing for the town just based on what I see there. But if there is, and the town can lend some support to the Butlers, certainly I think that would be appropriate.
I'm already scheduled to join Marla and help her out on some site walk or site reviews on Wednesday. Since she broke her foot, I've been helping her when I can, but we could probably take a look. We're going to be up a little pond, not far away from there.
Well, that's all based on what she wants to do. Obviously, I can't schedule time for her.
Understood.
Okay, train wreck project, who wants to start?
Steph and Elizabeth and I had a touch base call today. They're starting to shape up the outline for a workshop based on the last meeting and obviously all the input that we've had so far. I thought she was maybe going to send out the rolling call notes, but she must not have gotten a chance to do so. If you guys have that link, you can log into them at any time. I never do either unless I'm actually on a call, but they are there as a shared doc. Let me see if something came in.
I thought she sent something from the last meeting.
She did, but I mean from today is what I'm talking about, Karen.
Okay.
Because we had a call today at 11, the three of us.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're just still looking for, you know, whoever wants to take what pieces, but I think when she sends the outline out, it'll be illuminating. I'm going to, out of my office budget for the month of November, upgrade the $40 charge to do a webinar so we can do live polling, kind of like they did with the wayfinding workshop that was done, so that we can do some data capture of who's attending and you know, whatever other questions we come up with. I think we've narrowed it down in terms of time frame to plan an hour presentation and up to a half hour of Q&A. That's really optimistic. We haven't had a half an hour of Q&A at anything yet, but if we get good attendance and people are really engaged, we might for this one. And Lyanne, that's going to be, I think, some of what we want to get into your Constant Contact newsletter is drumming up attendance for that. So we know it's going to be on the 11th of November.
That's Veterans
I'll
Day.
I'm sorry, the 10th of November. That's right, because the 11th is Veterans Day. The 10th of November, the day before Veterans Day.
That's going to be a Zoom?
Yeah, it'll be a Zoom webinar. And I think we narrowed the time down from, the question was started at 6:30 or started at 7. We figured 7 is probably easier for most people for after work, so 7 to 8:30 time frame.
And the next group meeting is why do I have that? That's not right. October 30th?
October 30th is a Friday.
No, when is the next group meeting?
You know, I don't have my book up here with me, Karen, so I can't tell you off
Okay,
the top
well,
of my head.
we'll send a link out, but disregard what's in the agenda because it says September. Oh, that's the report on the September meeting. Sorry. That's
No,
not
that
the
was
next-
September 30th, so that was
Yeah,
last week. Yeah, so
That was so. I think everybody was there except John, right?
I think so.
So we can send you the minutes, John.
Okay. I was home and it was like 9 o'clock and I'm like, yeah, I missed it. So I'm sorry.
And so the UConn students were there and we met them and they got a lot of input and they're going to try to come to the train wreck events that are being put on by this for October. Anything else people want to share? Charlie, is there anything you want to tell people about the drone project?
I got a conversation with Elliot. I think it might have been the day after we had our meeting. And he is feeling very optimistic about what he's put together. Was putting finishing touches on it. And I expect we'll have it before the November event. I have not seen the more recent draft of it, but the earlier stuff that I saw I was intrigued by it. He and I have corresponded, and I pointed out that he has exceeded the timeline that he thought it was going to take. And I wanted him to keep an eye on how we might be able to use this for something else to be able to get recoup some more of his investment in time and talent. And he commented that, yes, okay, he underestimated how long it was going to take, and he wasn't going to try to back charge or put more charges on us for it. I think he is also pleased with what he's learned so far, and considering that it's a new venture for him. So I expect pretty soon I should be able to have him send out those links like he did the last time for you all to review and see what you think about it.
For whatever it's worth, Charlie, I actually contacted Elliot and Jeff Bolte actually today. I had an email from Lauren Logan. She is, I believe, a member of the Eastern Chamber. Oh, no, here we go. She is a video producer at Astor Place Incorporated in downtown New London, producing 8 unique experience marketing visitors for the Chamber. And they are in need of supplemental footage, and they were looking for stuff for Airline Trail raw footage. So I forwarded that to Jeff Bolte and Elliot to get in touch with her. So there is, in fact, something right there on the horizon for them.
Yes, and there's also something that the East Coast Greenway is doing. Somehow or another, they're getting to the pool of funds that are generated by the special license plates. And they want to have trails related footage. Anybody that doesn't know, we are going to be having official designation of our section of the airline trail as a complementary or connector route for the East Coast Greenway. Otherwise, we would not have been part of that project. And they're looking at sometime around Trails Day next year, reenacting something that we did around 1999 in Rhode Island, where we had the governor of Rhode Island, the governor of Connecticut, John Chafee was still alive, the senator serving Rhode Island, and a couple of dozen other people that were big shots. And it was a ceremony, a golden spike ceremony for the 10,000th mile of rail trail that was completed and designated in the United States. Bill O'Neill, who's very active on the board of directors for the East Coast Greenway and a Connecticut resident, and he's pretty well connected politically. So he's looking at doing something at the state line, Massachusetts and Connecticut, up on the airline trail for next year. So we're going to have to begin putting that on our calendar for planning so we can have things lined up for it. A lot of details have to be worked out. But it should be pretty interesting, and it should be a high-profile event. So just put that on the back of your thinking now.
All right, but just also thinking in terms of Connecticut Trails Day and the plans we're making, we need to know what date they're planning as soon as you can, as soon as they know.
As soon as we know, you will know. And I am in pretty close contact with people on the East Coast Greenway. But again, I've not been able to get any kind of response back from the 12-town task force or from anybody at DEEP. I don't know if Lori is still there, if she's completely retired. If she has, I don't know.
She has apparently not retired, is what Steph and Elizabeth tell me.
Her name's on the website still.
Yeah, and I had seen
Coming up for the dedication or the ribbon cutting or whatever of the Pomfret section. So she still is working.
Oh, good. Yes, and I'm also trying to find out when are they going to put that bridge over Route 44 in Pomfret so some of us can go down and cheer it on. But they said early October, and here we are. And they're working on the segment at the other Needles Eye Road. Transportation Alternative Plan, the TAP grants. Tara, do you know anything about them?
Not off the top of my head, Charlie.
Okay, that's what the town of Pomfret put together, working with NECOG to get the money, that $6 million that they put into that project in Pomfret. And we want to find out more about it and get ourselves into the stack of decisions for when they start looking over this way. Because that is the pool of money that we're going to need to tap into to get some of the bigger projects done. And they're doing it. They've been doing it all the way up and down the trail. We should expect that they will continue.
What does that stand for, Charlie? Transportation Alternatives?
I'll send you the note. It's TAP, and it's it might be plan. But years ago, there was something called ICE-T. That was how they pronounced it. It was the Intermodal Surface Transportation Act. And it's federal monies that come down through the states and work on projects of this type. But they're looking for things that, I think it's Transportation Alternative Plan is what it is. And I will send you the email. If not tonight, then for
Okay.
sure tomorrow.
Okay.
And then a footnote about that is I've sent out a summary of the bar chart that I got from Connecticut Trail Census showing July, August, and September usage on the counter at the airline trail in that area. In July, we had 1,002 more people on the trail this year than last year. In August, we only had 801 more people on the trail, but that number is 1,966 people. And in September, we had 1,421 more people on the airline trail. Their numbers for June were not provided to me, but June's chart on their website looks like they got the counter information early because it's pretty much lower than any of these numbers. So that's data that also goes into our requests for the TAP or any other place that we go looking for justification. And that's what I have about the airline trail up in that area. The maps, I'm going through them real fast. I did speak with the intern about the possibility of reducing it back down to an 8.5 by 11 sheet, seeing if we'd then be able to get them printed up and folded more reasonably than $1 a piece. Actually, they're a shade over $1 a piece for the legal size. And I haven't spoken back with him since. Questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Anybody? Okay, tools and equipment. So John, you took the Kubota out.
Today,
I did.
we were using like conditioner. It got like all, we were practicing like basically.
So I don't know whether you plan to use it again. It still
And,
needs to be winterized before winter.
Okay. I can go down and do that. Winterizing, we just put the fuel saver, I can't think of what it's called, in the tank. That's all we have to do to it.
David's asking, did you burn up a tank full of gas yet? Because then we've got all this old gas sitting in it.
I did not, but what I used, I refilled, so it's still a full tank. I didn't use that much.
Then we're gonna wanna put a fresh supply of fuel saver in there. I got it up at the place where we got some of our smaller tools on 131.
I have some. I mean, I could just put it in there. It's not, it's like
Okay.
an ounce for 2.5 gallons. I just have to look.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot, but
No.
it's expensive stuff, but it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah. I have some. I put it in all my equipment. So.
Okay.
So I will say, again, it runs, it's awesome, it works fine. It is definitely only a 2-seater. The way they have the seatbelts in the middle, it's really hard to get that middle passenger in there. My daughter sat there for a little bit, but it's not very comfortable because you got those hard seatbelt things in there. Ran beautifully. It does not go fast. 25 miles an hour on the road, downhill, max.
And those roll bars definitely are not easily removed to
No, and I don't think
storage. No.
I don't think we should, safety-wise, to remove those.
No, I just meant for storage if, we found a trailer with a lower door.
They're not. So
Okay.
again, I talked to the lady about the trailer. Paul and I measured it, and the height is 6'6" is what we need for a door, because the with the plastic roof that's on top of the bars, it makes it 6'3".
Huh.
So that definitely needs a higher. And she had no problem saying that they could go. So we would need like a 6'6" door and probably a 7-foot high trailer.
Okay. I didn't find any grants yet.
Okay. Again, I don't know if you want me to get a quote from her on a trailer or if we want to just keep waiting. I mean, I don't know what you want to do. Like, again, I got it out on the trail, but it's not the easiest thing to do necessarily. It's not hard, but I'm just saying you wasted a lot of time getting to and from. A couple of other things that I noted, again, depending on what we want to use it for, when you put the tools in the back, there's no room if we were to take a little bit of stone dust with us or something like that to really put tools.
Okay.
So they do make racks that go on the side of that you could mount tools to. It's just something I researched it a little bit. I didn't know. We haven't really figured what we want to do with it, so I didn't say. Paul did make a good recommendation when we were talking about it of maybe getting the trails emblem painted on the front of that. So if people do see it on the trails, they know that it's not just somebody out there joyriding around on the trails. They're actually part of the trails committee. And I did make sure I wore my shirt that day. So we did see a couple families out there.
Okay, I think at one point we talked to the guy at the
Brush Shack?
The T-shirt guy could do a big decal. Yeah.
He could. Yep. Again, I can ask him if he could make one and give him measurements and see what he comes up with for a price for something like that. But I think it was an excellent idea.
All right.
Yeah, I
If you want to ask him, I mean, we could always do a black and white version if that's cheaper. It doesn't have to be the color version.
Yeah, black and white works mint because it's orange. So you just put it on there and it's gonna.
Right. And if we, I mean, I'm assuming if we did one and it was about 12-inch diameter, that we should, I mean, he's going to set it up that we should get a couple more so that when we actually have a trailer, it's not just on the Kubota, but it's on the trailer also.
I agree.
Okay, so you can ask him how much, 5 of them are or something.
So, excuse me, John, you think he'll make a stencil or he's going to freehand paint that on?
I think he has some kind of like a laser. You think he can do
Well,
it?
he silk screens, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you silk screen that onto the front. He like paints the side of trucks and cars and stuff. So I think he makes a decal is what I think he makes. He laser cuts it or whatever with off that. That's a sticker that goes on there.
He could
Yeah,
probably do.
I saw something on Facebook. He had a short video of a machine that he has that was making stickers. Now, decals, peel off stickers, they were smaller, but that doesn't mean that was the only size that he could do. But it looks like a pretty nice piece of equipment that he's got for that.
I know that he can make them. He does trucks, the side of truck, like on doors. He does the whole boxes. I mean,
Yep.
We don't need to talk about it. I don't.
so, all right, that's on that. I will talk to him about that. Do you want me to ask that lady for a quote for that trailer? Do we have a discussion about that? I mean,
Well, if we
quote doesn't
found,
mean buy
if we
anything.
found if we found a grant, we'd need to know the price. So, yeah, get a quote. And often, at the turn of the year changes and it goes up. So ask her what she would estimate for 2021.
Okay. So again, it was nice to actually ride on the trail and be able to get to where you need to get to do what you had to do, as opposed to, walking and carrying everything, so to speak. So it's a great piece of machinery. We really just need to get it so we can get it out there and do stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad you did it, John. It had been almost a festering point just waiting for it to happen. Thanks for doing it.
No, like I said, I just said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get it out there and use it. And I think sitting is not good for it either, so.
How did you get it out there?
I drove it on the back roads to
All the way?
the trail. I did.
Okay.
Again, that permission and forgiveness thing was working in my head. Again, I don't think I'd get any trouble from anybody if, again, it was me and my wife and my daughter and I had my trail shirt on, and my fire ID.
All right, we're up to social media, outreach, brochures. We talked about a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a more thorough update. So I submitted my final proposal to Eastern Region Tourism District today, because I actually had to amend what I sent over on Friday. There are 6 Eastern Region partner towns contributing funding and 1 out-of-region partner town, all on the airline trail, toward that Z-Card brochure map design program. So the 7 partners are Thompson, Putnam, Pomfret, Hampton, Wyndham, and Columbia, and Portland. Most of those are kicking in $3 grand, either directly out of municipal sources or through a combination of private and public money. And the town of Columbia confirmed today, they said they could confirm $2 grand, but he's going to try to work on the 3. So that will get us to where we can be matched by the Eastern Region. So we've got 20,000 in base funds. Eastern Region would give us 25 on top of that. The 25,000 from the Eastern Region will go towards the design of the map brochures to fit the specs for the specialty company. So the master one for the whole airline trail on one side, and then each individual town gets their real estate on the other. Connecticut RC&D is going to coordinate with the individual towns so that they get a lot of individual input, but also makes it consistent with what is going to end up being the master design for the airline trail website that's under their grant. And then the Eastern Region funds will also go towards digital tie-ins, like Charlie's favorite thing, QR codes that'll jump to the local attractions or to ctvisit.com, which is a requirement of getting the match funds, the eventual airline trail website, and then the individual town websites or attraction websites as appropriate. And then the money that the towns themselves kick in, that's what's going to pay for the printed brochures for each town. And they come in at roughly 50 cents a piece. So for the $3,000 that EDC is going to put towards it, out of some money I've got squirreled away from all those grant reimbursements, we get 6,000 of them. And so the side that's dedicated to the town, you know, it'll be our section of the trail, and then whatever the town of Thompson wants to feature, links to, or, you know, QR jumps to the Speedway, to Anya, to whatever, the trails website, you know, however we want to use that real estate. So soon you'll have to start putting some thought into that, trails with EDC and branding. What wants to be featured on that, you know, once the design RFP process goes through, and Connecticut RC&D will be handling that piece of it. So it's actually happening from a cold sales call piece that Leslie came running into my office and said, "Look at this! This is so exciting!" To something we got EDC to kind of be interested in and agree to now the regional tourism district is gonna put the program together. So, yay us! And I should say that that's assuming that they fund us. I would say that the chances that they don't fund us are less than 0. Because this was one of the first regional partnerships we were talking about with this matching grant program. They've been waiting for it, and the money hasn't run out from the district yet. So I fully expect to be fully funded by Friday's meeting.
Okay.
Okay. John, do you have anything you want to tell us? Problems with Facebook or Instagram, or everything's okay?
No, everything's been good. I mean, I try and share anything that I can find. Anything that you can put on there just gets really lots of views right now, because people like Leslie had talked about earlier, really are out and about. I really can't say there's a time that I've driven past the airline trail on New Road that there hasn't been multiple cars in the parking lot. So everywhere is definitely busy. So, I mean, Charlie keeps sending me stuff to share on there. Like I said, I've been a little bit crazy lately. I think it's going to level out for me because of this COVID stuff and work. But I try and share all that stuff as best I can when I can, definitely, to keep that going, because it definitely gets a lot of hits.
John, feel free to connect with the social media intern too. I mean, we pay the kid 10 hours a week of wages to do social media work for the town, and the Trails Committee is the town.
Okay.
Now, Renee and Leslie have been doing a lot of management of his schedule. I have had less interaction with this intern than with the last one.
Yes.
And he's also working mostly remotely, not mostly on site. He actually lives in Farmington or something. But he comes out about once a week, and yeah, you want to, it'd be good probably to get into a rhythm with him in terms of cross-posting stuff.
Okay. Do we have an email address for him, or how would I contact him?
It's just intern@thompsonct.org, so we can keep it for the same, for that purpose, no matter who the intern is.
What's the .org one more time?
intern@thompsonct.org, and the new kid's name is Mike Troy.
Okay, thank you.
He's been with us about a month now.
Okay.
John, like I said, you can look for those posts every Thursday.
Okay.
And like share them, so then you know that you have, if he's gonna just post on Thursdays, a different trail for next 6 weeks or so.
I felt bad on one of the things I commented because it said tri-state marker, and that wasn't the tri-state marker that was a picture of. It was actually a picture of the Douglas Thompson line at the beginning of the trail.
Okay. Thanks.
People knew, but I commented on, it was shared so many times, like you said, so I just wrote a little thing, how the tri-state marker is 3/10 of a mile from there.
Okay. Yeah, he's a little rough on the details, so I'll start approval on these posts before.
We'll be working with him.
Okay.
Yeah, we are working with him on the details. So yeah, we'll have him schedule. I'm just so that he can schedule them so we can do them all forward.
Yeah, so I told her to
Okay.
call you. I don't know any details or anything, but I
Oh,
know.
I made copies of the 8.5 by 11, all the maps that are outside the rec office. I made copies. I double-sided them. I don't know who did the last copies, but Paul, do you usually come in to do those copies?
Lynn Landry does those.
Lynn does them? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just talk to Lynn because it was like a single page on each side. So I think we should double side them just to cut back on the paper and do that as much as we can. And then
Sure.
Charlie,
I think she's been trying to do it on recycled paper that we purchased.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll check with her then. I just made a couple extras because of the Maker Faire. I wanted to have some. And then Charlie, there's only like maybe 8 of those airline trail brochures left outside my office.
Okay, I still have probably about 50 or so, and I was planning on a quick trip down to the town hall tomorrow. I'll drop some more of those off and put some more in the kiosks and do a quick tally of what I got left. I recall, and I'm sure that the minutes will show it, that the Trails Committees pledged up to $200 to print some up, and that EDC also did, but we've only used about half of that amount, a little over half that amount. As I said, they're a bit over $1 a piece. So we should be able to get another batch printed. They have all of the file and all that stuff. But again, some of the data on the file is old, should be updated. And some of the, for example, quick example, it says a bridge needed to be put in between Route 200 and the beginning, and that's the one behind the condos. It's already in. So there's some things that should have been updated and were missed. and we could probably shrink down the size of the QR codes and make the maps a more reasonable size for printing. I would like to go with a local printer, even if they're not a Thompson business, if and when possible. But if we can get them printed online for half the price or so, I'd say that may have to be a factor, because they go. I put them in and checked the counter. I was doing a calibration on the counter for 1 hour. I put the maps in and I could see in my rearview mirror a trio of people came up with a girl that was about 8 years old, and she took 2 of them out, gave 1 to an adult and put the other one in her pocket. Well, I wanted to go back and say, hey, they're too expensive for that, but I didn't. I also just sent out a couple of those photos that John talked about that are on social media with the widow maker, as he called it, the tree branch that's hanging over the top of the Kubota. I sent one to Karen, one to Tira. I'm looking for my copy of it to see who else I sent it to, and anybody who really needs to see it, I can do that again. But they're big branches. They're around Route 200, just north of Route 200. No, this one is south of Route 200. I can tell by the picture of the road.
Charlie, Renee has the brochure if you're going to try to edit.
Okay, well, Renee was in the room talking with him when I showed up, but she left, and then she came back in with our new animal control officer just as I was wrapping up. So at any rate, Michael has the information. I don't know what he's doing with it. We can refer him to Renee and say that we're curious to what he might be able to come up with. But he asked me for a photograph so that he could put it in an article, and I haven't read the article, but that was afterwards. That was a few days afterwards. He sent me an email on that.
Okay, I don't know what time it is, but we've already talked about the trail census, unless you want to add something.
No.
It's 8:35, by the way.
Okay.
We'll, as soon as I see that they have it all updated on their website, I'll pass the information along to John for our website and to the social media pages that I have administrative functions over, as well as telling the rest of you.
Is there anything updated that we need to know on the wayfinding grant or the 12-town task force?
One thing
I'm expecting my final. I'm expecting my final report from Kelsey any minute. I hope she hurries up because I need to turn that into a grant application for actual fabrication by the 16th of October. She's being held up by the final version of a logo from the marketing plan that Brandon commissioned. The marketing plan itself is great. The logo that was designed, not so much, to say the very least. So that's holding me up. But as soon as I have that final report from Kelsey, I am immediately turning that into a community connectivity grant program application for the 16th of October to get some signs made.
And I have one note about the wayfinding. Today I managed to understand a link. I send out a link that if you click it, it will take you to MapGeo, to a map that I was working on, and would permit you to be able to edit that. But it shows a proposal of bike routes in and around Thompson, mostly in, but some of them go down the other side of Bull Hill, for example. And they are mostly green, but there's a couple of them that are a different color that well, you'll see it goes from Route down 131 and Buckley Hill Road and Quadic Road and a kind of a straight through road, through travel approach. Most of you should have received that email. And when you get it, you just click on that link that's in there and it should automatically open up MapGeo for you. And then you can see it's a rough draft, but it is an attempt to show routes that can and should be marked as bike routes that would enhance the experience for people to ride around the town of Thompson.
Okay, we haven't heard from the 12th Town Task Force. Is there any other business? I don't want to keep everybody all night.
I make a move to adjourn.
Sure. And it's second?
I'll second.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Night all.
Have a good night.